and welcome back upon a page. Heather and I are doing it without Erin tonight because she had a migraine, so we're missing her, but we have a lovely person to introduce you to. This is our friend Liana George, and she's from way down in Houston, Texas. Before we get started quizzing her on some things that everybody, I'm sure, wants to know.
Now you're scaring me.
Okay, her bio says, as a multi-potentialite, Liana George has many interests and creative pursuits. She claims that's why it took her so long into adulthood to become a fiction author and get her first book, Perfectly Arranged, published. Yet, if it weren't for the diverse adventures she's experienced on the journey, from being an expat in China and Germany to restoring order in people's homes and lives, she claims she wouldn't have any stories to tell. Married to her college sweetheart, Clint, she has 2 adult daughters and lives on a small farm on the outskirts of Houston. When she's not scribbling away, she enjoys watching tennis, reading from her large to-be-read pile, or planning her next vacation. So we are thrilled to be you with us tonight, Liana. Do you want to tell us just a little bit about your new book, and then we'll get into the questions?
Sure. So my new book is Perfectly Placed, and it is the second book in the Hopeful Heart series. It is the sequel to Perfectly Arranged, which was my debut novel. And it picks up 6 weeks after the end of Perfectly Arranged and continues the main character, Nikki's story and her adventures in China. Yeah.
Okay. Are you going to ask a question first, or am I?
Sure, I can ask a question first. Do you come up with the character, setting, or theme for your story first?
Setting. Yeah.
Always?
At least for well, I mean, it's hard to say because you guys have more books than I do. And mine kind of I knew it had to take place in China because of the fact that when we lived there, my dad had called and said, "Hey, can you go look up this address for a friend of mine who found this unusual business card in his things?" And so I went to go look, and I couldn't find what it was. And it always bugged me. What was in that business card, or what was at that location, and why did he have it? So I always knew it was going to be China because of the card being written in Chinese. So since it's only my second book, setting would have to take first place.
That makes total sense.
Yeah.
Okay. So going sort of along the lines of setting, but this is a setting for you. What is the favorite place you've ever written at, and why?
So I am very blessed to have some very good friends who just happened to build a oceanfront house, beach house. And so they are always so kind to let me go there and have some writing space. And so it's in the Dominican Republic. It's called Puerto Plata in the Dominican Republic. And so, as a matter of fact, I just texted them yesterday and said, "Hey, can I have 5 days alone at your house?" And they were like, "Sure, what days do you want?" So they let me have their house. And that is where I just relaxed and calm, listen to the waves, and just sit by the water.
That sounds amazing. I need friends like that, obviously.
I was just thinking, I've got to trade in Erin and Amy now and get some new ones.
Oh my goodness. No, they're worth it. They're worth keeping.
They are. I would never trade Amy and Erin.
I couldn't blame you.
Okay. I had a different second question, but Amy vetoed it. So I've got a new second question. She does that, it's a thing. No.
No problem. Let's have it.
Okay. So the second one is, do you write with a clear image of your character in front of you, or just a general idea of what they look like?
No, I need a set picture. I have to have, I'm a visual person by nature. So in order for me to truly be able to articulate through the words on the page, I need to be able to see that, all the details of them. Even if it's a house or it's a person or, whatever, I need to be able to visually see that. Yeah.
That's really interesting because I sort of write with like, I know what color their hair is and I know what color their eyes are and about how tall they are. And I think beyond that, I have no idea what my characters look like.
Really?
And then I go to like find pictures of them to send in for my book cover things. And I'm like, wait, is that what they look like? I don't know. It's so hard. So that's really interesting to me. So do you like actually go find the pictures?
Okay. I do. Yeah.
So
I have in my mind what I want, kind of like you said. I have in my mind, I'm like, oh, I know I want her to have curly hair and I know I want her to be brunette, or I want him to be blonde headed, but I just go in with that image, but that's about it. And then when there's something that comes across, I'm like, that's him, that's her. Then I know it. Yeah.
I guess I need to start doing that. I don't know.
It just works whatever works for you.
Everybody. Yeah.
Yeah. You do you.
Okay.
Next.
So next question. Was it harder or easier to write the second, and I know you've already started working on your third book too, than it was to write your first book?
Harder for the second book and even harder for the third book.
Wow.
Even harder for the third book. Yeah. The first book took me 4 years. So I had a lot of time to go through and, really think out the plot, think out the characters, rework until it was ready. But then what happened was I sent that manuscript out and nobody wanted to take it. And so I was just about to put it in the drawer and say, bon voyage, when I said, I'm going to give it one last shot. I'm going to send it to just a few more of these small press publishers and see what happens. And that was July of 2020. And the rule, if you don't hear back from us in 6 to 8 weeks, that probably means we're not interested. So by September, October, I decided, well, I guess no one was interested. So I'm just going to start something new, because it didn't make sense to write the sequel if nobody was interested in the first one. I thought that was just a waste. So I started another book called Must Love Books, about a girl who gets jilted on her wedding day. Well, she doesn't get jilted. She finds out he's been cheating on her wedding day by the cheater, and ends up winning a bookstore. But the irony is she doesn't read books. She loves movies. So she ends up with a bookstore. But anyway, I got 6 chapters into that one when I got the call from Shannon. So then at that point, I was like, well, then do I need to start book 2? And she was like, yeah, it would probably be a good idea. And so that then Linda was like, I will need book 2 with 9 months after the first one. So then I'm starting to scramble, trying to write book 2. And I'm like, well, what did I say in book 1? And, can I change it to make it fit for book 2? So it was harder for me, and at a much, much smaller window to write. And book 3 is even smaller. I'm only 10 chapters and my self-imposed deadline is August 31st. So I still have a ways to go. Yeah.
So you're scrambling right now.
Mm-hmm. Yes, very much so.
Do you still handwrite everything first?
I do. I have this wonderful little tablet called The Remarkable. I'm not a spokesperson. I don't get paid, but if they want to pay me, come on. But I use this Remarkable, and it's fabulous because it takes my handwritten notes and then it converts to text. And then I email that to myself and put it into a Word doc. And yes. So,
okay. See, I was like picturing you with a notebook and a or a pen.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness, my arm would fall off.
Oh yeah. I know. Sometimes my hand is like, I'm really tired from writing and things, but it's great. It's my thing. I'm like, the other day I lost the stylus to it and I had a panic attack because I knew I had this weekend, I had to do a lot of writing. And I thought, how am I going to do it? I can't do it.
Yeah.
So,
wow.
Yeah. So
even using the technology like that, which I think is super cool. I don't think I'm with Amy. I think I would get like a page in and be like, oh, I've got to be done writing for today because my hand hurts.
It does. My hand is very sore. I can always tell I'm always going like this after a few hours of writing. But there's something about my brain, the connection between my brain and my hand, that I can tell the difference when I've typed it up and when I've written it from scratch like that. So, yeah.
That's cool. And we now know not to get in a thumb war with Liana because she's got very strong hands from her writing, and we would all lose.
So true.
We need to put her against Lena.
Yes.
Oh no. No. I'm good. Thank you.
So my third question for you is, do you write to music, in complete silence, or with just random background noise? How do you work best?
Complete silence. I get distracted, I hear something, and I just lose my train of thought. So most of the time I will go sit in my backyard on my porch, and just, there's nobody out here. We're, out in the country. So that makes it real nice, except when it gets to 104, then I have to come inside. But if my husband's home working or sick like he is today, it makes it a little bit more difficult. So, yeah. How about you guys? Are y'all quiet?
Headphones? I
did that. We've been remodeling our house, and when they were here and, doing that, I did use some noise canceling headphones. It's late. But I don't, it feels weird to have something on my ears.
Mm-hmm. It does.
Or even in my ears, the ear pods or earbuds. Yeah. So are either one of you, are y'all silent or noise?
I'm silence.
I'm silent.
I was for a long time silence, and because of my children, because when I first started writing, they were way younger. Right now they're out of the house, so I'm back to silence again. But when they were little, yes, yay, no. But when they were little, I mean, we have a very lived-in house. Our kids were rowdy boys, and so there was always noise. There was always, video games, movies, wrestling around with dad, whatever it happened to be. So I learned to write with music. It was a nonfiction book, so I used like a soundtrack without words.
Oh, yeah.
Out the noise, but it gave me something that made sense to my head rather than just random noise. And then there have been times that if I'm writing a scene and I want it to have a certain feel, I will play the music that goes along with that feel, even if it has words, to get me in that mood. But
that's really cool. That's really cool.
That's cool.
I can't. I'll start singing, because if I,
if I
start singing, and then I'm like typing those words. I'm like, wait a minute, that's not part of the story. So, yeah, I can't do that. I have to have silence, quiet. Yeah.
Liana and I were like,
Yep, I got you, girl.
Yeah, we're kindred spirits.
Yes, very much so. Yeah.
Okay, one last question to wrap us up.
Okay.
What author would you most like to meet? It can be dead or alive, and why that author?
That is a good question. And there are probably a gazillion I could read, because I have a wide variety of my reading. I read just, other than like Stephen King, I read clean fiction, but I don't always stay within the Christian. I read general fiction, literary fiction, that kind of thing. But I guess if I have to say, I would say John Grisham, because I've read everything that he's written since 1993. When I graduated college with a teaching degree, we moved to a new city. I had a job here in Houston, all lined up, and I was ready to go. And then my husband came home one day and said, we're going to Victoria. I was like, what? So by then, everybody had already signed their contracts. They had their jobs and spots filled. So I spent the summer going, what am I going to do? And I discovered John Grisham. And so I have read every one of his books. And my dad, this is the weird thing, my dad will buy the books. He's got an entire collection of every book John Grisham writes, hardback with the sleeve, hasn't read them, but he buys them and keeps them in his house. And at Christmas time, or whenever I see him, he will bring it to me and let me read it. But he brings it without the sleeve. He only has, he doesn't trust me with the sleeve. He's like, no, you can't have the sleeve. So, but he doesn't read, but I read every John Grisham. So just the other day, I was like, how many John Grishams do you have now that I haven't read? I think I've got 2 or 3 to go. So when I see him in a few months, I'll grab him some of those, but that's who it would be.
That kind of surprises me. You don't have a John Grisham feel in any of your stories
Yeah, no.
You went a completely different direction.
Yeah. I guess if I had to say like literary, I would probably say somebody like Jojo Moyes, who wrote You Before Me, You After Me, and those kind of things. There's something about her writing that I just get lost in. So I don't, maybe because it's the British kind of stuff that she is, and I get lost in that. So yeah, that's me. Kind of weird, I know.
Well, before we say goodbye for the night, is there anything else you'd like to tell us about your book, about your writing, where people can find you?
Oh, that would be great. Yeah. So you can find me at lianageorge.com. That is Liana, and then George, like the first name, but it's the last name. That's what I have to tell people. They're like, George? And I'm like, yeah, like the first name, but it's my last name. So it's lianageorge.com. And there you can find a little bit more about me. You can connect with me on all my social media platforms. And I'm just having a great time. I love meeting authors. I love talking with authors because, like you said earlier, there are people, right? We get each other. We understand, we're just kindred spirits. So I enjoy that. And I'm just excited to know you guys. And thank you for the opportunity to be on your beautiful show.
Will they also find a link to a newsletter on your website?
Yes, definitely.
Good.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely. So, and then I'm taking a break for a while and then recovering from Tuesday's launch and then getting back tomorrow, back to writing and getting that final book. That final book's weird because, it's like you're going to say goodbye to those people, right?
It is.
Yeah. And I think there's something about knowing at the end and what's next. So that's kind of where I'm at. So,
well, I'm sort of hoping that you go back to that one about must love books because that sounded really interesting to me.
Good.
Yeah. Yeah, that's what Linda said too. I had been on a podcast and I mentioned it and she listened to it and then she called me up. She said, I would really like to see your proposal for that. I was like, yeah, I would love to give it to you, but I haven't even had time to think about it. So yeah.
So we know Liana's fourth book.
You what?
I said, so we know Liana's fourth book. It's
yeah, right. Yeah. Well, actually, I'm working now that we have the possibility of a nonfiction line coming up. I do have a nonfiction book that I'm working on that I'm going to submit to Scribnings to consider. Oh. So, yeah. So that's me. But thank you guys. I appreciate it. It was fun.
It was fun.
Thank you for being with us. And for all of you out there watching this, you can get Perfectly Placed on Amazon, Kindle, ebook, and paperback copies. And while you're at it, if you haven't read Perfectly Arranged, go back and get that one as well, because you're going to want both of them together. And you'll look forward, I tell you the truth, because I've read both of these, you'll look forward to that third one that I don't even know the title to yet, but perfectly matched. Okay, you will look forward to Perfectly Matched and hope that it comes out quicker than a year from now. But don't wait to go out and get Perfectly Arranged and Perfectly Placed, because you do want those. They're great for this summer. And yes, we do want to thank Liana for being here with us today. And like our videos, subscribe, share, leave questions. If you leave some questions on these videos, we'll make sure that one of us answers. If it's for Liana, we'll make sure she answers it. Because if she doesn't, we'll hound her mercilessly until she does. So,
they know how to find me.
So until next time, we'll see you later. Bye.
Bye.
Bye. Thanks.